We're going to start facility transportation October 9th. President myself, Steve Rittenhouse.
Russ Jarrett.
Jay Withers.
Emily Albright.
Rob Early. Tom Walker.
Okay. First thing on the agenda, presentation train HVAC replacement.
This is Mr. Andrew Odell from Train. He's our main representative.
Thank you. Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Oh, you're working on something. I can't project if needed.
Yeah, it should be on.
Oh, it's
We are a work in progress here.
Yeah, bubble tea, we never, we got into Transformers. That's bubble tea.
Let's give my wife a bubble.
Feel free to pop it out if you want.
Is Transformers Disney?
Yeah, if you're more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk around like,
Yeah.
It's always light up when we do.
okay. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Again, this is Andrew Odell from Train.
Okay, thank you for having me tonight. As Jay mentioned, I represent Train Company for this region, for this district. I'm what we call a comprehensive solutions department with Train. I manage large projects where we look holistically at different projects, school districts, universities, where they're doing major work. So that's kind of my role right now. I've been with Train for about 12 years. And I want to thank you for your trust in our company. For many years, we've done a number of projects with the district, as you may know. We have service agreements with the district. We've also done major renovation projects with the district over the last, I'll say 20 years, and over 30 or so years working with the district. So thanks for that partnership. Today what we're talking about specifically is a project that the district asked us to look at, and it is addressing some of the necessary replacements at the high school and middle school, specifically regarding ventilation, outside air ventilation equipment. So I just have a few slides here, if that's okay.
Yep.
The kind of the why now slide, just try to summarize why are we talking about this at this time. And from our standpoint, it is because systems are end of life in a few cases. At the high school, all the rooftop units that are preconditioning the outside air that's feeding all of the classrooms and all of the areas of the high school, they feed actually the ductwork into the heat pumps, which then supply the air for pretty much everywhere. Those units are really end of life, and they are in poor condition. They're not working very well, and we've evaluated those over the last year or so and determined that those are in bad condition. Some of them not working correctly at all. And their lifespan is 15 to 20 years for that type of equipment, according to ASHRAE, which is the industry guideline. Regarding the middle school, those systems are about 19 years old. There's a mixture of equipment there. Some is in good shape, some not. Specifically, the equipment that we would say is in poor condition are those outside air ventilation equipment. Again, you have, if you've seen, there's large units, indoor units, that we would suggest potentially repair those units because they have not seen the wear and tear of outside conditions as much. Those are some of the units, and then there are outside units that are in that little cubby space above that feed the cafeteria, kitchen, and some other areas. Those units are in a little lesser condition. We would suggest possibly repair, but probably replace those units. The other reason why we're talking now, I would suggest, is that lead times over the last couple of years, factory, both because of labor shortages and material shortages, we've had lead times extended by 3, 4, 5 times of what we've seen in the past. So some equipment has gone from like 4-week lead times to 40-week lead times in the matter of kind of the period of the pandemic and all those things. It just really snowballed quickly. So we do right now have lead times. They've come down a little bit, but we still have some of the equipment that you're talking about here could be up to 8-month lead times. The other reason I would suggest is that we have cooperative purchasing in place. A number of districts have utilized cooperative purchasing as a way to get things done quicker. You may know that cooperative purchasing, the school district is on the list of cooperative purchasing in a couple of the contracts. Train is part of the Omnia cooperative purchase, and that is a pre-bid process. So we've gone through all the bidding and vetting of multi-bidders, and then they've done a single award contract to Train for HVAC and services. That is an audited process, and so what that guarantees is that the district would be contracting with someone that's gone through the competitive bid already, and then the project itself is audited, and the price has to comply with the guidelines of the cooperative contract. So we have certain multipliers and all those things we have to follow, and that is an audited process, so you can see the results and take a look at that. And so that's also performance project risk falls to Train. So where we see this is with school districts and other state and local entities that are looking to get things done a little quicker, a little more streamlined. They work with us. All the project risk falls to Train. And we found that do a side-by-side comparison of this process versus like some of the traditional process that is months of savings in time. So it's a heavy focus on mechanical and HVAC and control systems. We would suggest that working with someone like Train could make a lot of sense, much more efficient than going through all of the bid and spec and bidding process that you might have to go through with architects and engineers and everything. So that being said, we do complete engineering, and we do full turnkey service and all of that, so you don't really miss any steps in the process. It's just that you streamline the process because you're looking for mechanical work. You do that with the factory. Suggest that Train is relatively a good deal because you're buying direct from Train. Don't have the markup of distributors and contractors and representatives. It's direct with Train. You happen to also have Train automation systems throughout your building, so you're also working directly with Train for those systems. So it's really a streamlined process in that regard. So the scope, as we've discussed, and we've met with the district a number of times about this, right now the high school is replacing 10 rooftop, and those are, like I said, the makeup air units on the roof for the high school. Those are providing conditioned ventilation air to all of the areas of the school. So right now you have like one unit that might feed an area of the school. One unit feeds like library, one unit feeds several row of classrooms, and they're kind of spread out throughout the roof. You have replaced a few of these units over the years, but there are still 10 critical units that are in end of life and in poor condition. Also the annex chilled water system, that there are two chillers there right now, and from discussions back and forth, we suggested we go ahead and repair the larger chiller and replace the smaller chiller. The smaller chiller is not in good shape. The larger chiller has a little bit of life left. We would suggest that go ahead and put some repair into that and get through. The reason you have two chillers is that the smaller chiller can kind of provide just enough cooling that you would need for times when you only need a little bit of cooling. For like the admin area or something like that needs cooling and you don't need to do the whole area. It's nice to have one small efficient chiller. Another thing we talked about in that regard is that when you're doing chillers right now, there's all kinds of government incentives for chillers. One of those incentives is adding thermal storage to the system. Might seem kind of crazy, but what that means is putting blocks of ice and melting that ice, making the ice at night and melting the ice during the day. Just one of those technologies that the government is giving a lot of incentive for right now. The same kind of incentives they're doing with solar and wind and geothermal. This thermal storage is, so it's a possibility. It's just one of the things we would investigate through the process. Also replacing the annex gym, that multi-use gym room, end-of-life equipment, also adding cooling for that space, which doesn't currently have cooling. So that would just be, these are just scope items, not in stone. They're just for investigation and for the next step. Yes?
I'm going to ask you a question. So I was listening to the process of everything you said. Go back to the first item.
Yes.
Air makeup units provide conditioned ventilation air. Are those air makeup units before the heat pump, like doing filtering and dewatering of the air that's being pulled through the heat pump, or is it conditioned air because the heat pump's on the first thing, and then the makeup air units are pulling the air that's been through the heat pump?
That's a good question.
Okay.
The answer is that the heat pumps have a mixed air coming back to it. So partly in the room, from return air from the room is going back to the heat pump, and then you also have outside air flowing in there, and that's mixed at the heat pump.
Okay.
That outside air that's coming in is preconditioned.
Okay.
And so these units are handling all of that outside ventilation air.
And
So
pulling
when
that
people,
additional air through.
Yes.
So it's continually adding to the air that's being resurged.
yes,
through
it's
the
providing,
system.
yes, fresh air.
Okay. And
Another
right now, our current makeup units are failing.
They're in bad shape.
They are not pulling air.
They've
or
just recently become in bad shape and really poor conditions. We've
the
evaluated.
air that's being pulled in, is it like is the humidity off on that air too? Because the makeup units are, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
do affect humidity, temperature.
Makes the heat
and-
pump work hard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was listening to the rest of it, so you can go back to wherever you were in the list.
Yeah. And another scope item there is to replace the annex gym system. Those are end-of-life units. There's 2 large units and 1 smaller unit in that space. And those units do not have cooling at all either. So that would be investigating adding cooling to that. Also, room E1 in the annex area, replacing that old system and adding cooling. That's just kind of one of those last items that hasn't been updated. So that would be included.
And what did you say is it, E1?
E1,
Yeah, where is that?
that's on the far corner of the annex.
Wood shop. This used to be the old wood shop. room.
Oh, okay.
There's,
So,
maintenance is over there.
so do you have like a
There's an art room
stand-up
over there.
cooling unit in the summer, or do people just suffer? Okay, got it.
The next item on our list would be to provide 1 or 2 water source heat pump units for just backup for reserve. That was requested by the district as a possibility to keep some units in reserve. If units fail, that you can replace those heat pumps. You do have a number of water source heat pumps throughout the district, the high school, middle school, and those are getting older in life, and we've replaced maybe a dozen or so in the high school. But it would be smart to start planning replacement, but also planning repairs, and if needed, to have standby backup units would make sense. So then number 2 would be the middle school. Again, replacing some of the faulty units there, particularly the cafeteria and kitchen systems have been failing recently and in bad shape. And looking at all of those units, actually quantity 13 of the makeup air, heating, cooling, and ventilation units throughout the middle school. So it's really kind of a makeup ventilation project for the most part that we're talking about.
Have we evaluated the middle school? Which ones are repair and replace, or is that kind of fungible at this moment?
So recently, the ones that need to be replaced would be the cafeteria ones. They're at the point beyond
Okay.
repair. I know
And the rest you might be able to repair at this point?
they would have to do a comprehensive analysis to actually
Okay.
work through everything. But I know the cafeteria.
So you just identified one you know you need to replace,
Yeah,
the rest of it still need to be looked at?
cafeteria one's very urgent. I do have a list here of actually all the work orders.
Okay. Oh, I knew that the cafeteria was an issue, so the fact that you've identified that doesn't.
Yeah, and I looked back and it looks like 2020 and 2021 we spent some money on some repairs to keep them going.
All right.
So just a few of the financial considerations that we would suggest looking at here. The initial utility rebate, we're signed on with as a trade ally with First Energy, MedEd, Direct Energy, all the same company. And we help to ensure you're getting the best possible rebates as part of the program, part of that Act 129 program, where you're putting in money towards that, you're able to get some of that back through efficiency projects. So we're going to make sure we maximize that. There's also a direct credit. I mentioned the federal program with the part of the Inflation Reduction Act is a program that looks at renewable energy sources, so solar, wind, geothermal, thermal storage. So we would evaluate that for any possibilities here. We would also look at, of course, energy savings per year. We would help calculate what we actually gain from that. That's being operational savings. We've also looked at maintenance savings as a possibility, if you'd like us to investigate, by replacing old equipment with new. And then tax deduction. Train often looks at tax deductions and then passes on the tax deduction to the customer. Since you're a nonprofit, we would evaluate that as part of the federal 179D program. So that's another possibility. So part of the process with Train is that we have a team of energy engineers and we're looking closely at all these incentives and we try to incorporate that into the project. So here's a potential schedule we rolled out a few weeks ago. We have reviewed this process and we've done some initial assessments already. We would suggest that the next step we had projected as end of September, but would now be in October. That would be our letter of commitment, and that is our next step in the process that enables us to go ahead and do the engineering, evaluation, all of those things to determine all the options before you. So we give repair options, replacement options, energy saving scenarios, all of that, and that would be no fee, but it has a breakage to it. So if you ended up evaluating all this and not do any project, then we would have a breakage fee to go with it. Otherwise, it's just cost that gets rolled into the project and it's not a fee per se. But I do have that letter of commitment with us today that I can also show you.
Is that if we don't do everything on the list, or is it if we don't do anything on the list?
Anything, just anything at all.
So you don't have to complete everything.
No. So after that letter of commitment, we go ahead and get started. We do the design process and energy audit. It usually takes a few weeks, gets us into November, and then we would develop the scope and pricing and spend some time with you reviewing that and potentially presenting that at the board meeting, presenting you with those those options and costs and payback and all those things. Just projecting being able to do this in November, we would be mobilizing and doing final engineering in December, and that puts us to August of next year to complete. So we're already kind of into the crunch time, where with 20 to 40 week lead times on equipment, we're talking about sort of August, September, end of project if we're just getting started now. So again, lead times and things like that have really changed the game quite a bit, where we used to be able to wait until January, February, March to develop contracts and then execute the summer. It's just the game has changed recently, so we're now projecting dates such as this. So regarding the letter of commitment, as I mentioned, that would look like this document. Apologize if that's small, I can blow it up here. That's about as bigger. So what that looks like is basically it says that we agree. Basically says that, Train and Daniel Boone Area School District agreed to work together. We've kind of have an understanding. We've reviewed the schedule together. And it is in the intent of the district to purchase a project. Doesn't specify a scope or anything, but then it talks about a breakage fee for simplifying the document. It's a breakage fee of $39,600 if nothing is ever done. So that's the way that works. And then this document has the same schedule that we've agreed on down below, just to. Well, first, here I've summarized the scope. Sorry, I can't find the arrow, so I'm kind of dragging it down. This just summarizes the scope that we talked about at the high school and middle school. There it is. Oh, perfect. Thank you. then summarizes we're doing a building evaluation, we're doing preliminary drawings of the mechanical and electrical work associated. We do all the investigation as far as codes and permitting as part of the process. And then we provide preliminary schematic design and pricing together with bidding and costing, the scope. So it's really putting everything together for the next discussion. And we agree on this as a potential timetable, just to hold each other accountable and make sure we're tracking forward. This is again the same schedule that we discussed already.
How much was that breakage fee?
39,000.
600.
So this would be weeks of time evaluating, developing, working with
Right.
our energy engineers, working with utility, working with all the incentives, and then working with all of our technicians and subcontractors to develop final scope and pricing, and then developing and then presenting that to the district. So that's all I have as far as the presentation. I'm happy to have any discussion or questions.
So we have to go through all that before we can get to a number.
Yes.
And the chances of not moving forward are pretty slim.
Up to nothing. It would be that, yeah. Okay. You're not. Okay, thank you. We will discuss this in the work session today, I imagine. Right? We will have a discussion of this in a work session today.
Yes. Sorry. Which one's the number? Say it again?
The meeting this evening, we will discuss this with the entire board.
Yes,
This,
yep.
yeah.
Gotcha, sorry.
I'll give you a list of work orders.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not as exciting as a Phillies game, but it's it is important stuff. So thanks for the opportunity to present.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Andrew.
Do you know off the top, I can ask Christian, I guess, but do you know off the top of your head, like, how much we have budgeted for this? In the capital fund, do we have a number dedicated to capital fund? For
Off the top of my head, Rob.
Okay.
Mr. Hurley, do you happen to know in capital investments what we're looking at? Or capital improvements in our funding?
We have enough to cover this, but that won't be a problem.
Okay.
for us. I gave you
It was just a question we had over here. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I can give you that by the end of the night. I'll have that.
Okay.
I'll shoot an email to you if that's okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Is the intro
Jason, go
head
ahead.
out, or do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Thanks a lot.
Steve, I believe it's 6 million, but I just want to confirm that first.
Yes, no
Okay.
problem. Like I said, we were just having a discussion over here about it. Do we want to move on to the high school fire alarm update?
Yeah, on Monday, October 2nd, Berkshire Mechanical officially started the project. The sub panel is going to be the annex gym closet. So we cleaned out the closet, we have room that's been going on the wall there. And today, since we had an in-service, we had additional technicians. So they were working in the classrooms, pulling the wires, and cutting ceiling tiles. And we're still on pace to be completed mid-December.
Thank you. Anything anybody wants to discuss about the fire alarm? No. And we'll move on to paging and intercom system.
So, we've been having some intermittent issues more at the high school and the middle school. Our paging and intercom systems are not working. We currently have 17 work orders since we've been in school. Might not sound like a lot, but they bleed into each other. So, On Wednesday, September 13th, I met with Dolphin Datacom, and we did a walkthrough of the middle school, and we did the entire middle school, and they got the gym to work, but all the other ones that were intermittent, we couldn't put to work. So we identified some speaker issues, hopped up there, the speakers only had 2 volumes, high and low. So some of them we could fix, and some of them we couldn't. So we're also having the same problem here at the high school. The PA system here at the high school is 26 years old, and some days classrooms are working and some days they're not. So over the summer, we actually had Berkshire out here with 2 guys, and they replaced the speakers in some areas, and those areas worked. And then once school starts, those areas are not working again. So I did a Zoom meeting with myself and Mr. Max, and we also met with the Dolphin Datacom team. And Dolphin Data wants to do a comprehensive evaluation of all 4 buildings. We have, the main issues so far have been the high school and the middle school. We have a few minor issues at the intermediate center. The PC issues are, we have 1 issue, so the teachers cannot use their phones in their classrooms and call out to the PA system, to the paging system. So that's the only issue, but we believe that's probably a quick fix. That could be something software related as well. Dolphin Data gave me a cost for all buildings to do a comprehensive analysis of this of $4,995. And then they also gave me a price just for the high school and middle school of $3,400. So this would be 3 days, 2 guys, 8 hours. And they would bring their software in and they would test all the classrooms. We would do this in November around Thanksgiving break when there's nobody in here. I told them that they have to play Christmas music. So that would drive everybody nuts. But they would spend time evaluating the power, evaluating the speaker systems, the front head, the end head, all the softwares for all 4 buildings. So I'll get a work order, today it works, tomorrow it doesn't work. I leave the work orders open, just because it works on Tuesday doesn't mean it's going to work on Friday. So, and I witnessed one of the classrooms myself. I watched the speaker get fixed, and then 2 weeks later I walked in there and it wasn't working again. So we don't believe it's as simple as just replacing the speakers throughout the school district.
That's so weird. I mean, I would blame the electrical system, except it was only the high school, because the middle school is so much newer and doesn't have any existing, like, significant and continuous electrical problems like the high school.
The middle school, the main ones are, well, the gym is not working.
Yeah.
There's hallway areas that are not working. The auditorium, well, we figured that out why it's not working, and I'm not quite sure we really need speakers in the auditorium, because if the ones in the hallways are working, you're going to hear it anyway. There's a handful of classrooms that work one day, they don't the next.
Are they approved vendor, like if they gave us a quote?
Correct.
After they notice other people?
So Dolphin is CoStars.
They are.
They are actually who's doing our door alarms.
And they've been doing work for us for a while.
They have,
They're
yes.
staying.
Yes. They're doing our door alarm project here at the high school. And I looped Scott Matson because he actually had a lot of feedback, and he used some things that we've done in the past to repair some of the, especially here in the middle school, as far as software.
Yeah, I also kind of understand in a couple different ways why if we only do 2 out of 4 buildings, it's a lot more than half the cost. First of all, we've already identified it's not working well, and so there's going to be a lot of diagnosis going on at the middle school square footage of these buildings are significant. Like, these are the two, if you put these two together, those two together, it's a lot bigger than the IC and the PC.
Yes.
You said the IC is not having any issues?
The IC is, there's a few classrooms, and I've been in the classrooms where I heard it, and then I've been in the classrooms where it doesn't work.
Wow. This is also probably what they use to call buses.
That is correct.
Yeah.
It's our intercom paging system.
And again, the announcements and,
All the announcements.
My neighbor's daughter missed, her son missed the bus. Leaving this
I think for the amount of time it's gonna take them to figure out what's wrong, I don't think $5,000 is that out of hand for an amount.
Do you happen to know, the previous year, you said you had 13 work orders this year,
17.
17 since school started?
Between all four buildings.
Yeah, and then the previous year, any idea how many? It seems worse this year.
Since I started,
It's been a lot every year, but that seems like a lot for the first month and a half of school.
But
That's what I thought.
But
Yeah.
so it sounds like an aging system has just gotten older.
since I started, I do know of 2 work orders here at the high school right away when I started. 2 classrooms. And Berkshire came out and they fixed it.
Yeah.
You know, they rewired the speakers, they turned the volume. What was in the library? I watched the guy do it. And then, voila, it lasts a few weeks and it works, and then it doesn't, and it does. So, the one gentleman I met with, he strongly believes it's related to power issues.
Yeah, I would think, but it could be a different power issue in different buildings.
Correct. I do know this EA here is 26 years old.
Right. I mean, there were years when my kids were in high school, there were times when, for a good month, there were certain teachers that got the morning announcements emailed to them and they read them to the kids because their room didn't work.
Okay.
And that's just the way it was done. And so, I mean, I know we're trying to do better, obviously, because it's a safety issue. So like I said, I don't think that, I think that if you look at the amount of money that we've spent so far, just this year, and then if you go back just one more year in, like, how much money we've spent to either have our own people or somebody come in and try to diagnose and fix a problem and replace things, I think it's worth it to spend the money.
No, I agree,
Figure out
Russ. What do you-
They're all simplex systems
what the
as
problem
well.
is.
They're all the same manufacturer.
Right.
In all buildings?
Models.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and have them evaluate.
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss it, let me know.
Do we need to?
I mean, are you asking for,
If you would like to do
I
it.
would vote to recommend that we authorize the $5,000 for all four buildings. But if you're asking for something different, I'd like to hear it.
Well, it's all 4, and I actually did ask just for the high school and middle school, because 80% of the issues are
Right.
high school buildings, yeah.
Right, I understand.
But if we have kids missing bus because they're not getting called,
Yeah.
Right.
that's a
Yeah, it
concern.
happens.
Yeah.
We need a working intercom system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to wait until the next voting meeting?
The next
Is that all
board
right?
meeting is in 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
we could, if we could vote it, if you want to vote it out in committee, we can add it as a consent item at the end of the month.
Let's do that then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. Next item is high school milk cooler replacement.
We have 2 milk coolers here at the high school. So when the students go to get their lunch, they have 2 lines. One has one cooler, one has the other cooler. One cooler is done, the other cooler is fine. This cooler was put in here in 2000, and I got a few quotes here. So K&D is who we use, our co-stars. We also use Clark's, they're also co-stars. Clark's actually came in almost $2,000 less. So they have $5,458.89 per cooler. And K&D has $7,734. When I went online to look up our specs, our cooler, they're running for direct pricing from the manufacturer, $6,934.73. And then I asked about repairing this thing. And the compressor would be $2,429.86. So we could repair it, or we could replace it. It was put in our building in 2000.
And Clark's is offering,
$5,400.
do they have it in stock and the price has gone up since then? Is that why it's
Either of
lower?
them have them in stock.
I'm just wondering why it's lower than what you can find it available, the one that would fit the bill just straight online is more than that. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Well, we do use Clark's a lot.
Oh,
A lot. So, yeah, they've been very good to us.
if you repaired it, how much time do we get on the clock? I mean,
So-
not, obviously not guarantee, I'm just curious, what's the thought there?
We did one, I think we could probably get 2 years. We could probably squeeze another 2 years out of it.
It doesn't make
For
sense.
3 grand?
Guaranteed.
And
Yeah, just under
Clark's,
3,000.
Clark's price is pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask though, I have to ask, you have a need for two coolers? There is a need for 2?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, especially at the high school. Those kids, yeah. So you have line 1 and line 2. So if you don't have no cooler, then that line's going to be humongous.
But yeah, like I had to ask, I'm not in that
And
cafeteria, so I don't know.
And the biggest question is, do we go through the quantity that we need both of them out there at lunch, right? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
That's what we're asking, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I can go and do some more homework and do some research.
That's all I was wondering.
That's it, yeah. Okay.
A lot of milk drinkers.
Yes. Huh?
If you want to just see if we can get by with one.
If you feel, if the need is there, then there should be 2.
I see.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of thinking, I've seen them out there, and they're both jam-packed full of product. Yeah.
Do you need to?
That's what I said, we got a lot of milk drinkers.
Yeah.
So-
go through it, that
What?
We need it.
Yeah.
Also in the mornings when the kids get off the bus, the kitchen staff will try to bring one out and bring it in the hallway so kids get milk and stuff and fruit and stuff out of it in the mornings.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go and recommend that not to exceed, or just do that one, Clark's? I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. Okay.
I'd be fine.
We'll recommend that out of
Yeah,
committee.
buying us 2 years for like just slightly less than half the price.
Makes no
That's
sense.
Right.
That's not smart.
All right. Last thing on the agenda is Stop Finder GPS pricing.
Yeah, so this is been coming up a lot in conversations with parents. Are we ever going to get the GPS app? I'm interested in it. And I just want to present the data to you guys and let you guys discuss it. So, I didn't write down any negatives, I wrote down positives on what this would actually do. Would quickly and accurately help parents who are looking for the child's bus. Analyze historical data by bus to optimize routes and stops. Safeguard riders by knowing who's on which bus and where at any moment. So the cost is $8,580.
Per year, right?
So that's a one-time cost, and then it's $3,200 annually.
Oh, okay, so it's, I thought it was.
Where this will particularly help us, Baghdad, is in situations like the bomb scare we had the other day. The parents would be able to immediately find out where their child's bus is at. So it would help alleviate a lot of the concerns quicker for them. So that is the advantage, the major advantage of that.
Is there any concern out there of someone who would have access to the GPS tracker for the child?
I think there is somewhat of a concern, but I'm kind of.
Does the benefit outweigh
I'm
the?
meaning that the pros
Right.
are more significant than the cons, and especially since we have so many parents in the definitely do it camp,
Mhm.
you know, especially of our younger students.
It's like logging into Stockfinder, though, right?
I believe the concern is as much as somebody like logging into your Facebook or your
Yeah.
email account. I mean,
It's not on zero for sure. Yeah, but.
Except for they know the location of the child.
They
Right,
don't
yeah,
log
that's-
into Stockfinder.
Right. Well, hypothetically, the domestic
I
dispute
have the
between
same
parents.
thought, but I'm kind of leaning toward parents who feel better. We've only been in school for what, like a month and a half? We've already had like 3 different events.
Incidents where this would have
it
helped,
be nice
yeah.
for parents to be able
Absolutely.
to have that info.
Absolutely.
I can meet with those school districts or contact them. I know Wilson uses it.
That would be beneficial.
Parents that use it, that go to Wilson. I believe Mrs. Tom Walter uses it. Or what another option could be, I could bring them in here and they could do a presentation. I could bring them out front there.
I definitely see the benefits of it, and the cost is, I don't think is prohibitive. It's just the one concern I have.
I would be okay with signing on. Yeah, I would. And we can always, I mean, if it becomes like an issue where they're being hacked into and
Oh, I'm not-
just can't
yeah.
just cancel
I'm not.
suspend it.
Well, I can create another
Like
account
when
for
we're
here.
doing, right?
I can stop it.
No, I mean, like, we could suspend using it for everybody if there was a significant issue. I mean,
And you can only track your child, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Yes.
Yes.
somebody would have to hack your account.
Well, I'm not necessarily talking about a hack. I'm talking in the event of a domestic dispute between two parents. Now one has access to the child's location when perhaps they shouldn't.
Well, then you could kill that in their account.
Exactly. So there would be a way to rectify such a situation.
I'm sure.
That would
be the question
That
to
would be
ask.
the question.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
How
You could
fast?
follow the bus too, if you did bus number. right?
Yeah. That's true.
yeah, and I mean, if there are some concern, I mean, it could be,
Is that gonna like give away like speed at the same time?
No.
I mean, like how much information are they
So-
gonna get? 'Cause
Yeah, so how it works is it connects to Zonar. Price already has Zonar on all their buses. Zonar is what monitors the speed on the buses. But we won't see the bus speed. You'll just see a travel path. You'll see that your child is 11 minutes away from the bus stop. Now, if there's a bus accident, we can communicate that with you and let parents know.
That's
to
fine,
come to the
too.
bus stop, to pick up your child. Your child is 34 minutes out. It's super transparent.
do they have a, does Route Finder or Stop Finder, do they have like, a video, like this is what the system offers, like to show either perspective
They
for
do.
schools? I mean, you can send that to the board to like kind of see a little bit more about it before we vote on it. If we're gonna vote on it either at the next voting meeting or the one after,
Mhm.
you know, just, and if you have any questions, maybe we can get those answers before we vote.
I have nothing to say in this group, but I can tell you that I would definitely go for this. I think the positives would outweigh everything that you're saying. I mean, we could visit this thing for the next 2 months. But
But Mr. Rittenhouse, I asked the same
how long does it take to?
I asked the same question you did, like, you know, do we have an issue with the wrong people finding out this information? I asked that same question.
Yeah, I'm not on this committee, but I do want to ask a question on that. Can they opt out of it? Like if the parents have
Yes.
concerns that
There you go.
it's opt out of it? Okay.
I'm sure you can change passwords and stuff like that, right? I mean,
It's just like setting up a
get rid of
regular
the worst parent there.
Right.
You don't want to know it, you can avoid it, whatever.
Who uses it besides Wilson?
Phoenixville. They're the only two that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there's more around us.
Well, I think this would be a win-win for us.
I think it's a good idea.
parents thought that's what South Bend was.
That's what they
Now we
thought,
have
yeah.
stuff in book bags
They're
when
like,
they
oh,
walk
you
in
let us
Birdsboro.
download this app. I thought it was like a track my kids. She said, why can't you just tell me this on anything?
Well, what are they tracking at that point? They're just tracking the bus, right? They don't know if
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
on
it would
the
have been
bus
nice
or not on
if
the
my
bus.
kid was like an hour and a half late for the bus thing. And
I think that's,
Absolutely.
So just as some additional perspective, if anybody wants to see what this ends up looking like, I do have it on my phone. And the nice thing that you can do for your own children is you can put automatic notification on. So whenever the school bus leaves the school, you can get a notification. Whenever that school bus arrives at your house, you can get a notification. Or you cannot put any notifications on and just occasionally go as needed. You can do as much or as little as you would like. This is actually my first year using it, even though it's been a multiple year option for us. Before my wife would track that information. But this year I thought I'd test it out and see what it's all about. And it's pretty neat, but if anybody wants to see what that looks like, I'm happy to show you.
Thank you.
Or if he's one, I can bring them in here to give us some presentation.
Okay. Oh, I mean, do we want to have that? I mean, I think we're,
I think if we can,
Wrong.
if we can get
Yeah.
something that can get emailed out to the board, I think that's the way to go.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah. I agree.
what's the time frame? What, if you got an okay?
It's pretty quick.
Just turn it on.
It's,
Download,
Buses
click.
already have all of
yeah, the buses are already set up for everything.
Okay.
All right. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll conclude this meeting. I know we're running a little late, but thank you, everyone.